Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Welcome to a brand new episode of Pressing Matters. This is episode number 3. I'm your host, Daniel Torres, and today we have actually our first guest on Pressing Matters since we added this to the Plug Talk Sports Network, and it is my good friend, my colleague, Alex Winley. She's done it all. She's a soccer writer, has done World Soccer, has done MLS, really big into WNBA now, and she started out her career focusing on Inter Miami, and that's mostly what we're going to talk about tonight. But thank you, Alex, once again, as always, being so kind with your time to join me and have a discussion about soccer.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Daniel. I'm excited to get started.
So, last week, it's Sergio Busquets. This week, it's Jordi Alba. Honestly, the Busquets one, I probably could have, thought about that one. But the Jordi Alba one hit me out of nowhere. And I think it kind of ties into the next subject, but we'll get there. What are your thoughts? Did that announcement by Jordi Alba today, did it shock you?
Honestly, yeah, because he extended his contract now a couple months ago, and I think him and Messi and De Paul, who signed in the summer, were going to be the 3 guys heading into next summer. So Busquets, I think the writing was on the wall for him, but Alba, I saw the news and I was a little bit shocked, but honestly, he's 36 and he probably wants to go out, on top without, a real drop off like I guess some other Inter Miami players, which I won't allude to, but yeah, it was a shock to me. Busquets was fine, but Alba, I think that one kind of hurts because he's still so good and could play another 2-3 years. But I can understand why he just wants to save his legs and maybe be a family man as he approaches 40.
So that's going to open, now with Alba and Busquets off the books, that's going to open with, I believe, 2 new DP spots. I think Rodrigo De Paul is going to take one. But from what I've heard, they're saying, and this again pivots to our next topic, but it's hard to talk about this one without, adding it in. But Sergio Reguilon from Tottenham, he was a Real Madrid man at one point. He's not going to be a DP from what I've heard. So Inter Miami would be out on the market to add another player to the DP spot.
Yeah, and I think with Alba gone, I know it's hurting from a nostalgia point, but the team will be getting younger now. I know there's going to be Messi and maybe Suarez returns, but with Sergi Reguilon coming in and De Paul signing, you're going to be able to, in a possible another DP spot, you're going to be able to get younger guys around Messi if he continues on, which is looking likely, which is what I think Inter Miami fans wanted at the beginning. They wanted a young team around Messi, not necessarily Busquets and Alba, who were great during their time with the team. But look at other teams who've won MLS Cup during that time. In 2023, 24, they were all younger-ish teams. Besides, Bale was in 2022, but still. Yeah. But still, you need to get younger and quicker to play in this league. And I think while it's sad that Busquets and Alba are retiring, Miami now have a new chance to get some younger guys in. And Messi's on his last legs too, which is crazy to say. Well, last of the greats. So you got to get some younger guys in to help them out.
You know what's crazy is that last week when I saw the report about Reguilon possibly joining Inter Miami, it's now likely. Someone said, I forgot who it was, someone said, well, if he's going to join Inter Miami, then it's either Jordi Alba or Noah Allen that's going to be exiting the door. And I'm not going to lie, at the moment, I was like, well, it can't be Jordi. It's going to be Noah Allen that's leaving.
Yeah.
And, well, we found out the answer this week. But for Messi himself, we saw a report in the summer that this was all about a done deal to extend his time in Miami. What do you think is taking so long now to make it official to have that announcement?
I think it's similar to when they initially signed him back in 23. You know, Messi stated his intentions to play for the team, but you know, with MLS rules, it's there are so many moving parts with the initial contract. You know, he has an equity in the team, and you know, he gets like a percentage of like jersey sales. I think every player does. I have to double check that, but there's a lot of behind the scenes business stuff going on there, which it wasn't a straight, hey, we signed him, MLS approves. MLS had to go through everything that Inter Miami is doing, and naturally, that's, you know, they were going to do that after the Blaise Matuidi scandal. You know, where the DP thing back in 2022, where they got fined and banned from doing stuff for like 2 years. So I can understand why that Messi deal took a while, but with this, I think it's going to be similar. You know, it's still a massive amount of money that Messi's bringing in and making. So I think Inter Miami are just making sure everything is dotted and crossed before they send it into the league. And I think once we hear that, I think we're pretty safe. But after the Alba thing, I don't know, Messi I don't know, man, like a remontada, and like he'll retire soon, knock on wood, or hopefully he doesn't. But like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think he'll definitely renew for another 2 years, because you know DePaul wouldn't have come if Messi was retiring imminently.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I thought the same thing this morning. I kind of scratched my head and said, well, if Busquets is retiring and Alba is retiring, is Messi still going to be interested in being part of this project? But I agree with you. I think he'll sign for another 2 years, and he wants to be here for the World Cup. And honestly, I think the 2 years that he would sign for are probably going to be the last 2 years of his career, and he's going to retire as an Inter Miami player. And that's crazy to say, like you said. I mean, player of our generation. Same with Cristiano. To see them go, it makes me feel like I'm getting old.
We are, in a sense.
We know, as both of us, part of the media, we know how media kind of frames things sometimes and speculates. But I want to know from your perspective on what you think went on in the last game, where Messi, after the whistle, did not seem very content.
I think there was a bit of like a maybe a no call penalty. I think Tadeo Yande was it looked like a dog so, honestly. So and the ref didn't call that, even though the team, they were up like 4-1. Messi's super competitive, so I can see him getting upset that wasn't called. But yeah, I don't know. It's not, anytime Messi storms off the field, there's always speculation, but 99% of the time he's either frustrated with the call or himself or the team for not playing as well, and he's usually okay. But yeah, I think it was the no call at the end there that really kind of frustrated him.
For me, you know, as I look at this team, I keep getting frustrated that we keep signing attacking players, when I want to say, even all the way back to Phil's days, the defense has been the main problem for so many years. And I feel like they just haven't fixed it. And you can score a lot of goals, and this is how I see it, but I feel like if Messi is not making magic out there, then they're stuck. And I mean, we saw earlier in the year where Julian Gressel said, just outplay them for 30 minutes. They'll get tired, and then you can just pretty much hit them as hard as you can and as you want, and you'll get the goals. But how do you see that? I mean, how do you see that whole thing?
Yeah, I think a lot of Inter Miami's issues. I don't even think it's like a player acquisition thing. I think it is a coaching issue. While I respect Javier Mascherano's playing career, and he's had some good games as Inter Miami manager, you know, there are times where his inexperience started to show, mainly like during tournaments like the Champions Cup and Leagues Cup final. I think that was probably the biggest one where I tweeted or X posted, I don't know, but a couple of times about how he'll play Rodrigo de Paul on the wing, and that clearly, well, he can maybe tuck in as a, you know, outside winger to come inside. He's not his best there. You have to play him centrally, and he played centrally the last game next to Busquets, and they won 4-1. So or 4-0, 4-1. 4-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, they won 4-1. So clearly, I think with Mascherano, it's his tactic and player personnel positioning that doesn't really fit what the team. You have guys like Papa Bicol, Tadeo Yande, who are proper wingers and need speed to get in behind, but Fafa's barely getting playing time. Tadeo, he's so hot and cold. I don't know if you remember his huge miss during the League's Cup final. Yep. That was he if he made that would have changed the trajectory of the game and maybe Miami went on to win, but we all know what happened. But like there's speedy guys on the team who need to play out on the wing, or maybe if Mascherano switches to a 4-3-3, it'll be a little bit more balanced. And guys like Segovia, who was the first guy, or third, fourth guy on the team sheet to get on the lineup. He's no longer like penciled in as one of the first 3 or 4 players to start. So it's a weird mix of like, I don't think Mascherano has found his set starting 11. Of course, they brought in Matteo Silvetti, I think he's 19-20 from Argentina. But he's off with the U20 Argentine side right now. It was another winger. So I think heading into these playoffs, Miami, I think they can do bits and be dangerous. Obviously, with Messi, it's Busquets and Alba last season ever as professionals, so they're going to go hard for MLS Cup. But it's Mascherano needs to just get the formation and the rotation right. But I think if he's able to do that and get the guys in the right spaces to play, like how they're able to, I think they'll be okay. Defensively, that's another combo, but yeah.
So now that I have you here, I want to ask you about some players that Inter Miami moved on from, and I understand some of them has to do with cap and money and restraints and whatnot. But the first player I want to say is Leo Campana. You sell Leo Campana, and then the backup for Suarez becomes Fafa Picault. I understand, again, money could be an issue, but as a fan perspective and the product perspective, I think going from Leo to Fafa is a downgrade.
Yeah, I think Fafa, he can play as a number 9, but, I think he is best, coming off the wing and using his pace. But yeah, I agree from a standpoint of it being a downgrade, as in it's like playing Busquets as a center back. Like it's a downgrade in how he is playing as a defender, not a midfielder. But like, yeah, I agree. I think that, yeah, there are a lot of players on the team that are underutilized. Like we saw this with Julian Gressel before he got traded. Like he wasn't utilized. He even Tata Martino at the end of his tenure with Inter Miami, he didn't play Julian as much, which is strange. But Velasco Segovia now, he's not being played as much. Who else? Noah Allen. I mean, yes, he's starting here and there, but we've seen a lot of Gonzalo Lujan and Thomas Avilas has come back into the fold. So it's just a weird mixture. I feel like Mascherano's just trying to find his mojo, really. So into the playoffs, I think he just needs to get it correct. But still, I think I agree with your Fafa assessment. I think he's underutilized and maybe not the best backup striker, but in terms of him playing on the wing or off another striker or another forward, I think he's definitely better in that sense.
The way I would have utilized it is, we all know that Suarez can't really run anymore. I would have, and I know probably this would have never happened because it's Suarez and jersey sales and all this, but I would have started Campana because basically every time Campana was coming in, he was making a play or he was scoring. I would have started Campana, or I would have started Suarez, played him 45 or maybe a little bit more, then brought in Campana, or the other way around. Start Campana, let him play 45, a little bit more, and then brought in Suarez. But unfortunately, they shipped Campana off to New England, and the second player, and this one was more of the heart because he was a day one guy, and that's Drake Callender. How do you feel now with the goalkeeper room? Oscar Ustari, Rocco Rios Novo. I mean, Ustari, he showed out. I can't lie. He showed out in the FIFA Club World Cup. I can't lie, he performed there. But were you okay with them letting go of Drake Callender?
No, honestly, no. I know it was like a nostalgic thing, but I still think Drake
Yeah.
was so like he's young. He's still like 26, 27. I think he just turned 28, which is like baby age and goalkeeper years. You know, when Gigi Buffon's playing till 40, like that's Drake isn't even in his prime yet. So to let go of him, it was so premature, and then to you know let go of him and then bring in William Yarborough, who I don't even think he's played a game, and you know he's not necessarily a top keeper that you want as a backup. Even I know Rios Noble is fine, and you know Ustari's been okay, and I think Ustari was preferred because he's better with his feet, but Drake was just. You know, he was one of the locker room guys back when, you know, Yedlin was still here, Robert Taylor, you know, the old guys that were on the team. You know, I have had the pleasure of meeting Drake and DeAndre Yedlin during some media events for Inter Miami. I mean, they were the greatest guys. Julian as well, Julian Gressel. So to see them gone, it you know, I of course I cover the team, but like you know, they were solid dudes to talk with. So it's with Drake, it was the same thing. I was like, oh man, you know, great guy. You know, he was a great quotes. He was very level headed. You know. Got me into yoga, which was another story. Yeah, it was crazy how that happened too. But like, yeah, it's and seeing him with Carolina, Charlotte FC. Lord have mercy, Charlotte FC.
Hey, same stadium.
It is, yeah. I have football on the brain, but yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, I hope he kills it with them. Hopefully not against Inter Miami though in the playoffs, but yeah, it's I think. In terms of playing style with Ustari, like I said, I think Ustari is just better with his feet. Drake was, in my opinion, a better shot stopper, better at catching crosses. You know, he had more height, so that's better for Inter Miami, who has you know, Noah Allen, Maxi Falcon, they're on the shorter side. So having guys like Drake who could come out for crosses comfortably was a good mix. But now, yeah, Ustari too. He's getting older. I think he's 30, 38. So yeah. There's
now that you mentioned it, you have to tell me the story. How did Drake Callender get you into yoga?
All right. So it was like a couple years ago, like it was like 2022 during Inter Miami do these like media games.
Yeah.
And they invite the press, and you know this year they did it with influencers, which is so 2025, but whatever. But a couple years ago they did it, with in 2022. So we were there, and DeAndre and Drake were my team coaches, so it was them. And I think it was against, I think Julian Kronza was there. Like, it was a way back in the day. But I was on DeAndre and Drake's team. And so we went into the locker room before the game. And they had us, we were talking. And they're like, hey, this is what we do before the game. We try to just sit really still and be mindful. And so they had us sit on the ground, just breathe in and out, be mindful of our surroundings, you know, grounding techniques. It's if you suffer from anxiety, that's something that you probably know. Grounding techniques, just to sit and to calm yourself and, you know, feel how your air is going in your lungs and then through your back and touching the ground and touching different surfaces and textures. So that's what was my introduction to that. It was thanks to Drake and DeAndre, and they used to do that a lot as well with at the training ground with Amema Bika, who's a throwback name for Inter Miami fans.
Yep. I remember
defender. Yeah, drafted him as well, and he got shipped off to, I believe, Toronto. So the three of them would do these grounding techniques, and they taught it to the media members, which is really cool. And I still utilize it a lot today because of just a bunch of different stressors, you know, school and work. So it's a great story, and I miss them. I'm not even gonna lie. As someone who's covered the team or still does, they were great guys, and I do follow them with their other teams, but you know, bittersweet.
I'm gonna have to start. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to start this. It sounds
it's great, honestly.
Really okay, great. So last player I wanted to ask you about. How much of an impact was it losing Robert Taylor?
Robert. He's another guy like Julian, DeAndre. I met him before. Super nice guy. Really into anime, which I love. He's big on Attack on Titan, which is one of my favorite anime series. So getting coached by him as well. I think it was back in like 2023. He was also one of the team coaches. Nice guy and super silly and funny. Really, like, his humor is like It's like, he's from Finland, so it's very like, I don't know, dry sort of, but it's super funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Robert Taylor gone, it's, he's one of the guys who he got to the point where he was like with 100 appearances for Inter Miami. So I think I got to double check that, but he was up there in terms of appearances, and for him to get let go, Drake, I think he reached 100 appearances. He was let go. Yeah. And yeah, it's unfortunate because Robert's skill set, as a winger who could any given day, he could just cut through defenders like nothing and score like a goal of a weak candidate. And it's, seeing him gone with Austin FC, and now they're in the playoffs. So hopefully he can go and ball out for them and they can make some noise. But yeah, another player that honestly Inter Miami could still use coming off the bench or even starting, so it's just another loss, honestly. But yeah, Robert's one of those guys along with DeAndre, Drake, Julian Gressel, who I think the fans really do miss.
So there's 2 games left in the regular season, and as we get close to the playoffs, who do you think is the biggest threat for Inter Miami in the Eastern Conference in these playoffs?
I'm going to say a bunch of teams, honestly, because I just think that, so I think these last couple of years, people just found out how to play Inter Miami and nullify their strengths. Yeah. So I think a big one will probably be the Chicago Fire. I know they're like in 8th place, which is still technically a playoff spot, a play-in spot, I believe. If they manage to get in, I think Miami will have a difficult time. Charlotte, I think that's another team that will be a difficult play for Miami. The rest of the East, I'm shocked still to see Columbus that low. They're sitting 9th currently, and they've got trophy pedigree. But yeah, I think the big ones are Chicago, Charlotte. They've got a lot of good attacking players that can harm Inter Miami. Of course, Union, the Supporter Shield winners, they're going to go at it as well. But every team in the East is difficult, and it's the playoffs, so everyone will be going so hard. So it'll be a crazy time. But like I said earlier, Alba, Busquets, they're retiring, so they're gonna try to go out for this.
Wow, so Chicago, that surprises me. I mean, I know they've kind of gotten hot now here at the end. Philadelphia, I know they just won the Supporters Shield, but it's a team that Inter Miami twice this season has been able to get a good result. So that, honestly, the way I see it, like if they play well, they honestly can reach the final. But if they're in one of these moods that we've seen them where the other team scores first and it's going to be one of these nights where it's a back and forth thing and eventually the other team just outlasts Inter Miami, then I think it could be a train wreck. But it just depends who they get, to be honest.
Yeah, and that was kind of my not worry, but concern covering the team. Like the defensively, they can collapse. We've seen the last couple of few games where they got beat 5-1 against Chicago the other day. And it was just nasty times. But that's up to Javier Mascherano to figure out and fix. And the players are capable of winning. It's just a matter of being set up in a way to do that.
We talked about this a little bit in our personal time the other day, but if you had to pick and predict it, who would be in the final?
Oof. I think I'm gonna be a little bit biased and say New York City FC, because I interned with a New York media company during the spring this semester, and New York City FC, they went from kind of like a middle of the pack to now they're 5th in the East, and I think if they go on a good run with their group of players and their head coach Pascal Janssen, he's such a really great manager, fun to talk to too. I think they can, if they get on a good run and everything else, Inter Miami is not good and the top 4 in the East don't do well, I think New York can sneak through. On the West, I think Vancouver, honestly, and LAFC, they're on both on good runs. So I think it's, and I know San Diego, they're top of the standings right now, but I think Vancouver and LAFC, I think they're especially with Son, you can't count them out.
I think I think San Diego, yes, they've been on the top of the table for so long now in the Western Conference, but I think that eventually their inexperience of being part of an MLS playoff run, I think that will catch up to them. But I don't know, like there's so many teams in the West that I feel like can catch you by surprise. I mean, we saw what we saw from Seattle in the Leagues Cup final, and if they could play like that in the playoffs, they could find themselves in the MLS Cup final.
True, and I think I also think like their turf home field has a lot to do with that. Like I don't know their away form, but usually teams that play on turf they go away. Their form drops off because they can't play the quicker style of soccer that they normally do. But yeah, I agree. Seattle looked good as well, and I'm sure I know Inter Miami probably don't want them to if they get to the final, I'm sure they don't want to face them again after that. So yeah, Seattle are great too.
My prediction, I have to agree with you in the West. I'm going to go Vancouver. And from the Eastern Conference, so you say New York City FC. I've always had a soft spot for the Philadelphia Union. And I know they're at the top of the table, but I just love their organization. I love their fans. I love Subaru Park. I want them to win it. They came up short against LAFC, that headed goal by Gareth Bale. And he rides into the sunset pretty much and call it a career. But I want them to finally just get it and win it. So I'm going to go Vancouver and Philadelphia. Reguilón, let's talk about him. How do you – it's not finalized yet. It's close to being finalized. But how do you see him fitting into this Inter Miami squad?
Honestly, well, from a shallow scouting report that I'm sure you probably know more about him being a Real Madrid fan, I think he'll, slide in where Jordi Alba was. Honestly, an out-and-out fullback, making overlapping runs and just trying to cut back. Obviously, not as great as Alba was with Messi, but yeah, he'll just try to recreate that. Maybe if needed, he'll get pushed up to left midfielder if Mascherano wants to do that, but I'm going to defer to you with this. Honestly, you probably seen him play a little bit more, but I think he'll be a decent fit for Miami considering Alba's leaving, retiring.
I think so. When I saw him play in Madrid, he was one of these young guys who it's hard. Like it's hard when you're in Madrid and you're a young player that's trying to break into the system. You have to compete with all the stars. But every time that he touched the field for Real Madrid, he was this guy that brought so much energy and passion and just intensity to the game. I loved it. I honestly loved it. And I was kind of sad when they shipped him off. The same thing with Hakimi. When Hakimi was in Madrid, I loved him too. I'm like, wow, this guy is so good. And he's so creative with the ball. And unfortunately, we sold him off too. But yeah, honestly, I think that he would be a great addition for this Inter Miami team. And like we said, with Jordi now retiring, I think this is a very, very solid choice to be back there. And he's young.
Yeah, 28. So that's definitely a different profile in terms of, not going someone who's like 35 and up. Even with DePaul, like he's only 31. So I guess a bright future for Miami in terms of them not like getting elder players. So at the start,
there is some criticism. I will ask you this: there is some criticism about DePaul. Some fans are not very happy with his contribution so far. What do you think that is? Do you think that he's still, getting adjusted to what this league is? And also, I will say, I find it with DePaul being a world champion, he's still relatively young. Atletico was just willing to be like, all right, yeah, we'll loan you out with not really much of a fight. So, what goes into all of that?
I think DePaul, he already stated he wants to play club soccer, club football with Messi and win trophies with Messi in a club setting and not necessarily with the national team. So I think after him leaving Atleti, I think he saw an opportunity and of course Miami aren't going to say no to a top Argentine international still in his prime at 31. So that, and of course I think he's he's his partner Tinny, who's I think she's like a pop star who's in Miami a lot. Obviously, a personal life does come into play. So I think that in combination with him wanting to play next to Messi, and Jorge Mas is so like ambitious with this, David Beckham as well. So they want the best players. So I think that was such a no-brainer. And pair that with the Reguilon signing is coming. I think, yes, like I love Busquets and Alba, but like unless you need to go younger, and with DePaul and Sergi Reguilon coming in, I think those are two really smart moves, genuinely.
So there's 2 games left. We've got Atlanta and we've got Nashville. Take me to what you think about those last 2 games. And I also think maybe DePaul and Messi might be missing that Atlanta game.
Yeah, and I was looking at the schedule now. I think, it's I've always disliked MLS playing through the international break. I get it, but it should be like a pause. But yeah, I think even with the players missing, Miami do have enough quality to win these games. The last 2 games aren't against playoff opponents necessarily, so they should be able to do well, and that gives other players a chance who may have not gotten playing time. I heard I saw Fafa Picault. He's not with the Haitian national team, I think, due to injury, or maybe he pulled a Robert Taylor and just decided to stay back for the team's sake. So maybe he'll get a start. Allende as well. Suarez is always there. So those guys will get a chance to lead the attack with Messi, DePaul gone. Busquets, obviously, Alba will be there. So, savor these last couple of games with these guys. But yeah, I think Miami should be able to get it done. There are no excuses now. Supporter Shield it's not a thing anymore, but it's just a matter of finishing as high as they can in turn for home field advantage heading into the playoffs.
I don't think the Atlanta game will be any challenge at all, even with Messi missing. I do think that the Nashville game can be a little bit more tricky. Honestly, it just depends. I'm a little disappointed in Nashville. I think that they have great players on the roster, but it depends what Nashville team shows up. I think that one will be a little bit more tricky. But like you said, it's all about seeding now, right? To see how high they can finish in this table heading into the playoffs. But we are going to go into our final segment of the show, and it is our team of the week. The team of the week was very hard for me to pick. There was 2 teams that I had on my mind that I thought deserved it, but from some outside opinion close to me, I was like, which one should I pick? They both had very good quality victories, but ultimately we ended up with Sevilla being the team of the week. 4-1 victory over FC Barcelona. Barcelona got scored on by their former man, Alexis Sanchez, and he looked ecstatic. But they did some damage because now Barcelona, who was in the lead of La Liga after Real lost in the Derby Madrileño, Real Madrid won their game, and now Real Madrid is back on top of La Liga. But a team like Sevilla, casually, they're not some team that you can just walk into and just relax and take a walk on the beach. They're no joke. I'm not saying that they're going to win La Liga, but it's not a game that you should take for granted. We saw what they did to FC Barcelona. 4-1 victory again, and that is why they are our team of the week. Well, folks, that has come to the end of our show tonight. I want to thank Alex Winley. As always, follow her on all of her social media. Honestly, fantastic. Anytime any Inter Miami news comes out or any soccer news, NYCFC or even MLS or world football, I go check Alex's page and I always retweet it on all of our accounts, my personal account, Plug Talk Sports account. So guys, give her a follow. And Alex, thank you so much for joining the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I had a blast discussing this, and it was a good change of pace from my usual undergrad work. So I was glad to have me on. I'm happy to be on.
Well, guys, we'll see you next week for a brand new episode 4 of Pressing Matters. Have a great